Hello, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Dr. Janet Six, Senior Product Manager at Tom Sawyer Software, and we appreciate you being here today. Today, we're going to talk about the new features available in Perspectives 12.0, and this includes a new Load Neighbors capability, so you can interactively bring new elements into your data visualization views, adding labels to meta edges, and being able to configure them, using the new PageRank Centrality analysis feature, adding flags and comments to your Schema Editor elements, generating web application with custom code, and a look at our new revamped documentation. So first of all, before we get into that, let's just talk briefly about Tom Sawyer Perspectives and what it is and what it does. So Tom Sawyer Perspectives is a low-code SDK and graph visualization and analysis development platform. It includes integrated design and preview interfaces and extensive API libraries allow developers to quickly create custom applications that intuitively solve big data problems. So first of all, how do we do that? It all starts with the data and bringing the data together into a single graph model. Perspectives can federate data across many different types of data sources. So it can work with graph databases such as Tinkerpop compliant databases, Amazon Neptune, Neo4j, and it also can work with RDF data sources, XML, JSON, REST, or even Excel files or text format. Once we have the information in the model, then we can process it by applying filters and rules and transformations. And then we have interactive views of many different types to help with your particular use case. So now we're going to get into some specifics of new features that we have in Perspectives 12.0. So first we're going to start with the new Load Neighbor features. So let me open our designer here, and we are going to do the our Load Neighbors application. Let's talk a little bit about what Load Neighbors means. So I'm going to open the web previewer so we can see a preview of the application here. And we have connected to a Tinkerpop database. And so as you see here, we have a graph visualization and we have a table view as well so that we could see the graph data in several different ways. But as we're working with this data, it would be really nice if we could select some of these nodes and then incrementally and interactively load those related data elements. So let's go and do this in Perspectives and add the Load Neighbors function. Now we could do this before Perspectives 12.0 with writing custom code, but now that we have this feature in the designer, you're able to do this without writing any Java code. So over here on the left side, we have our project tree that defines what we have in the application. So we have our schema, which is going to describe the shape of your data, the integrator, which database are we connecting to, information about how we want the data visualization views to appear. And as we're going to see here in the drawing view, we want to have a way to bring in new neighbors into our drawing view. So we are going to go over here to behavior and to context menu. And we are going to want to bring in these neighbors into the drawing view. By the way, the load neighbor functionality works with other views as well. So we're going to go ahead and collect song here because if we have a song or several songs selected, we want to load other related elements. So we're going to add a context menu that has an item, which is load neighbors. So I'm going to choose add item. And then here, we're going to select the load neighbors operation. I'm going to press OK. And here we're going to define things about how our load neighbors action should work. So the first thing that we're going to need is to clarify which integrator are we working with, which data source are we working with. So I'm going to click on that, and we only have one integrator in this application, so I'm going to pick that, but it could be another type of integrator as well. And here we're also going to get to decide what is it that we want to bring in. Do we want to do something that's exclusive or inclusive of a certain data type? We get to say include or exclude here. We're going to say include, and then here is where we're going to say which types of elements that we want to bring in to our new view. So we can press artist and song here in this point. So we have that, and then we have limits here because you don't want to bring in too many elements at once, and so the designer user can define the limit of what can be brought in at one time. Okay, so I'm going to press OK. So we just made this one change. Let's go back to our web previewer. And we're going to select some of these nodes. And I'm going to right click, and we have that context menu that we just created in the designer. I'm going to click Load Neighbors. And you'll see here that now we've brought in new data into our view. Okay, very good. All right, so now let's go to our next feature to talk about today, and that is our new Meta Edge label capabilities. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about what is a Meta Edge label. So I'm going to have a screenshot over here to look at. All right, so what is a Meta Edge? Okay. So when we have nested drawings, as we do here, we have a nested drawing here in this node, and then we have another nested drawing over here in this node. And as you see, both of those nested drawings are expanded. So we have edges that are connecting this node to this node, and from this node to this node. So we can see all of that information, all of those edges. Over here, on the other side of our drawing, we have several nested drawings that are collapsed. So there's information that's hidden. And so these edges are called meta edges. So when you have an edge that connects a node in a child drawing to a node in another child drawing, it is called an interdrawing edge. And if you have either of those parent drawings collapsed, then you're going to represent the connection between those elements with the meta edge. And this is a visual indication that there is a relationship between nodes in the child drawings until those nested drawings are expanded once again. So it can be useful to have labels on our meta edges that tell us about those interdrawing edges that are currently hidden. So let's look and see how we do that. Okay, so I'm going to open the designer, and we are going to come and look at the we have another application here that we're going to use these new meta edge capability. So we are going to go over here to our drawing view, and we're going to bring up our definition. All right, so here you'll see that we have a place for meta edge rules. And so this rule sheet is going to define the behavior that we see with those meta edges. So let's take a closer look. All right, so what this rule sheet is looking for is for the instruction on what do we do when we have some nested drawings that are collapsed. So you can have a nesting drawing that is collapsed at the target of a meta edge, or at the source of a meta edge, or on each side of a meta edge. And so in each one of those cases, we need to have a different label. So here in this case, we are looking at an application which is going to show us organizational information and who works for who manages who. And so what we want to do here is that in the case that we have a collapsed nested drawing at the target of a meta edge, we want to go ahead and add a label to that meta edge that says who's managing who. So here's the point where we're going to, in a data-driven way, define what information is shown in that label, as we'll see here in a moment. We also have some options to apply a different kind of template, meaning what's the appearance of this label, what's the color, what is the text size, things like that. And then we also have the ability to set the label layout properties, because you have an option to put the labels at the source or the target of the meta edge, or in the center, or anywhere that the layout algorithm sees fit. So we're going to leave this here at force. Okay, good. So let's go take a look at this application. So I'm going to start the web preview. And so now here we have our nested drawing showing us the organization and who's working for who. So we see all of the information here, all of the drawings are expanded, but let's go ahead and collapse everything and see the difference that we have with the meta edge labels. So I'm going to select engineering and I'm going to say collapse all. And so here, what we have, different than the last drawing that we were looking at, is now we have labels. Labels that appeared when we collapsed the drawings, because now we still want to know the information that's in there. So we can see that we have the manager and the names of the people that they're managing, and we have several relationships here, as you can see. And if we open, let's say, the product management drawing, so let's go ahead and do an expand selected, you'll see how the labels changed, because not the same information is hidden right now. So we see Joe, and we can see that Joe manages somebody in engineering, but we don't know who, unless we have this meta edge label that tells us, okay, Joe is managing Bob and Susan. Okay, very good. So now let's go back to the designer and update the appearance of these labels. So we're going to go to the designer and we're going to go over here to the edge label template. So, and again, this is what's going to set the appearance of the edge label, colors and such. So I'm going to press reference here and we can see that we have several different edge templates that we can choose. So I'm going to choose a different one, this orange and green edge label template. And let's just go ahead and take a quick peek at that. So we're going to go over here, and this is where we define the appearance of elements in our drawing view. And you can see here, we're able to set several different things. What is the fonts and the coloration and such, and we have a little preview here. But as you can see, it's something very different looking from what we had before. So I'm going to go back to the web previewer. We're going to go and do the same steps that we did earlier. I'm going to choose engineering, and then I'm going to do a collapse all. Okay, so there are our edge labels that we saw before with the yellow. Now let's go in to product management. So your question might be here, well, what happened to the orange and green label? Well, remember that we applied an edge template in a particular case, not in every single case. So let's go ahead and open our product management. We're going to do an expand selected. And now you see those different edge colors because we have that different case where we have the expansion of the nested drawing at the start of the meta edge. And so in that case, we have those different drawings, different edge label templates. So we have the green and orange labels up here, and then we have the yellow and black labels down here. All right, so we're going to move on to our next Perspectives 12 feature, and that is PageRank. So I'm going to bring over a screenshot here for us. Okay, so here we have a crime network, and we have done some reachability analysis of a larger crime network and reduced down to a core part of the crime network. And we want to understand who are the key people in this part of the crime network. So we applied a PageRank centrality analysis. And so what is PageRank centrality analysis? So when you're using this type of analysis, a node is given a higher ranking if higher ranking nodes point to it. So in other words, a node ranks more highly if important nodes point to it. So we're using PageRank here in the context of a crime network. Generally, when you're talking about social networks, your edges are undirected. PageRank can also be applied where edges are directed, and that's especially important application for PageRank. So for example, if you have a set of web pages, a web page would be ranked more highly if several important web pages have a link into it. And so it's important to understand where is a good place to apply the PageRank technique versus other types of centrality. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to go to the PageRank centrality. Okay, we're going to open this project. All right, and let's go ahead and take a look at the web preview. So here we are in a analysis application where we're applying several different types of centrality analysis to this particular graph. So we have the betweenness centrality, closeness centrality, degree centrality, and eigenvector centrality. So we're going to add PageRank to this application. So let's go back to the designer, and there's a few things that we need to do here, and there's some things that we've done beforehand in the interest of time today. So the first one of those is to take a look at the schema here. And let me open our drawing view of our schema, and I am going to show all the attributes. So you'll see here, for each person node in our crime network, we have the list of centralities, so including the PageRank centrality. So we need to have a place to store the ranking, the result of the algorithm. So we've done that before today. We've also done some work with the UIs so that we can make a node larger or smaller based on the ranking as well. Okay, but let's go ahead and add the PageRank centrality analysis algorithm here in our application. So going back over here on the left side to the project tree where we have our definition of our schema integrator, drawing appearance, and so on, we have this called graphs and analyzers. So let's just take a moment and talk about this just a little bit. So what is the graph? The graph in this state is a bit different from the model. So when you do a data integration with a database, you might bring in many elements into your model, but you might not want to do the analysis on the entire model. You might want to do it on a piece of it. For example, the piece of it that you're seeing in the drawing view. So when you are doing that, it's especially important to have a definition of the graph so you know where you're going to apply the algorithm. And so that is the purpose of this graph here. So we've defined graph 1, which is going to be what we're seeing in our drawing view. And then we can apply different techniques to it and have different kinds of results. Here we've already defined those several types of centrality analyses that we just saw in the preview a few moments ago, and now we are going to go ahead and add a new analyzer for PageRank. So I'm going to say add analyzer, and so we're going to call this the PageRank Centrality Analyzer. And here we get to choose one of the many algorithms that we provide in Perspectives. As you see here, we can just pick which one we want. We want PageRank Centrality. Okay, and we're going to be applying it to Graph 1. So I'm going to say OK. And there's some options that we have for the application of this technique. So I'm going to go over to Model Rule and choose Actions, and then Set Graph Option. So in this case, we want to go ahead and say that this graph is undirected because we have a social network here. Edges don't really have a meaningful direction in this case. And then we want to go ahead and normalize, which means that we're going to have those ranking results between 0 and 1. All right, so I'm going to say OK. All right, so we have added the analyzer. Now we need to go ahead and apply this action in a toolbar icon, as we saw for the other centrality techniques in our preview. So we're going to go now to the drawing view, and we're going to behavior and toolbars. We're going to click default, and here's where we're going to add a new item for our PageRank centrality. So you can see down here, here are the other types of centrality analyses that we saw. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a new item. So I'm going to press here, and we're going to add item, and this is going to be a set, oops, I think I just went right by it. Set attribute value. Here we go. Under edit, set attribute value. Okay, because you're going to want to apply those results of the PageRank centrality analysis, and this is working with those UIs that I previously mentioned that we have so the nodes can appear large if they have a high ranking. So we're going to say here the attribute is going to be the last algorithm applied, meaning the PageRank when the PageRank is applied, and the new value is going to be PageRank. And we also get to choose the icon. So let's choose an icon for PageRank. So we're going to go to our directory here, and we have some images, and here are our icons on our toolbar. So I'm going to pick the PageRank one. Okay, good. So we have our little PageRank icon, and we're going to press OK. So let's go back to our preview. Okay, and you'll see here that our PageRank icon is all the way on the right side. Let's go ahead and move it so it's going to be next to eigenvector. So we're going to go back to the designer just real quick, and we'll see that we need to move this up a little bit. So I'm going to press this up arrow so it will be with eigenvector, and I should have this with the better name here. So we're going to have it match the other types of centrality techniques. So run PageRank centrality. We're going to press OK. All right, so let's go back to our preview there. Okay, and so now we see that our icon is in the expected place. So we're going to run PageRank centrality. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And so now you see that we have the results here. So we have the node with the largest page ranking over here highlighted large. So let's talk just a little bit about these different types of centrality analyses. It's a common misconception to think all types of centrality analyses are the same, but in fact, they are different and they can be used better in different types of situations. And case in point, down here we have a bar chart with the results for several key people in our social network here that have different kinds of centrality results. So sometimes they're ranked, very highly in a particular centrality, but not so much in another. So let's talk a little bit about the why. Okay, so we have betweenness centrality. So betweenness centrality is based on the number of shortest paths that a node is on. So if you're looking for someone in your social network, for example, who is on the superhighway of information, on many of the shortest paths, the quickest connections between different elements in your network, then betweenness centrality is a good approach for you to use there. Then you have closeness centrality. So you are looking for somebody who's closely connected to a lot of the network. Maybe not directly connected, but one or two hops away. You want to be able to have somebody who can reach a larger part of the network more quickly. So that would be the closeness centrality ranking. Then we have degree centrality. Who is directly connected to most of the network? That's your degree centrality. And then we have our PageRank centrality, as we mentioned. If you have important nodes pointing to a particular element, then it's going to be ranked more highly. And if you have elements that point to other important nodes, then you're going to have the eigenvector centrality. So it's who knows me versus who do I know. So they're related concepts, but a big different. And again, it's important on if you have an edge that has a meaningful edge direction to use either eigenvector or PageRank centrality. All right, so now we're going to go on to our next 12.0 feature, which is about schemas. So I'm going to bring back our designer for the application that we were just working with, and let's go over here to the schema again. And we had looked at that just a little bit earlier, we were looking at the PageRank centrality. Well, we now in Perspectives have the ability to add flags and comments to model elements and also attributes in elements. So let's see how that works. So I'm going to open our tree over here for person, and I'm going to come over here to status. And I'm going to right click, bring up the context menu, and right here you see we have that capability to flag an element. You see the little flag showed up here. We also can add a comment on that element. So we're going to come over here and we're going to double click on comment, and we can add a note, please review this. Okay, and okay. So now this attribute has a flag and also a comment. So this can be especially useful when working with large schemas. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about how to generate web application code when you have some custom Java code. So we are going to open another application here. So we're going to do this. We're going to open this one. All right. Okay. So we have an application that we want to build and package for deployment to an end environment. And of course, there's several steps to do there. We're going to use the Generate Web Application Code feature, which we have an item up here in the designer toolbar. And what this is going to do is generate the files needed to compile and run a Perspectives application and package it for deployment to a web server. This new with Perspectives 12.0, this feature can also be used when we have custom Java class files existing, and we're able to work with that as well. You might have custom code if you have some custom evaluators or functions or action or maybe some UIs such as we had in our PageRank example. We now have this application generation working with custom code as well. So let's see how it works. So I'm going to go ahead and press the generate web application code, and it's going to ask us a couple of questions. So in this dialog, what it's looking for. So the project ID is going to be the output folder name, your Maven artifact ID, and your jar name. So we're just going to use generation example here. Remember this, we'll see this text here in a little bit. Then we have the group ID, which is going to specify the Maven artifact coordinates and Java package to be created. And then we have the output folder. Where do we want these generated files to go? All right, so we're going to go ahead and press OK. And it's going to tell us that, it's successfully generated the files. So let's go and take a look. So I'm going to in our directory with our application we were just working with, and you'll see this application directory. This is where we asked it to put those new files for us. All right, so we can see here, these are all the files that were just generated for us. And one of these files is the README, which was created automatically, and it will give us instructions. What do we do next? Okay, so let's take a look at this. So this file was just created for us right now. So first of all, it's going to have some instructions about how to set up Maven. I've done that before today's webinar. And then it's going to have instructions on how to build and run the application. So we do have some automated scripts that you can run, but I'm going to show you today how we are going to build manually, and we have the instructions here as well. So it's going to tell us how to build the application. So I'm going to get this Maven command and copy it. And then we're going to go ahead and open a new terminal window here at the application folder. All right, let's make this just a little bit bigger so we can see. And we're going to go ahead and run that Maven command. So we're building the application right now. And you see that we had a build success. Okay, so the next step is to go ahead and start the application running. So we're going to copy this Java command. I'm going to do a paste here. And so see, here's that generation example that we had earlier in the dialog. Here it is. And we're going to press OK. Okay, now our application is running. So let's go take a look at it. So the README file will also tell us the location of the application. So I'm going to grab the URL. And we are going to go to our web browser. And we're going to start our application. And here it is. So we have this application running locally. Here we have a couple of different types of data views. We have our map view, and then also we have our drawing view over here. We're looking at social media posts. So we're looking to see where they originated from, which ones were in response to other social media posts, and the timeline of when that happened. So we're going to go back briefly here to our files, and we're going to talk a little bit about deployment. So you have several places, of course, that you can put your application. So that generate web application code that we just used also is going to create scripts and files for us so that we can speed deployment to Docker running locally or a Kubernetes environment. So as you can see here, we have scripts and instructions on what to do in order to get your application into a Kubernetes environment, or also for Terraform, so that you can have your application running in a native way on AWS. Okay, very good. All right, so let's go over to our browser window to talk a little bit more about some of the other features in 12. So you can see our release notes online. So we have several other interesting improvements that we've made here. We wanted to call your attention to a couple of things in the data area. So we have improved our database commit architecture to better support database consistency when using the query builder. And we've also added support for parameters in the RDF integrator. And something else that was released with Perspectives 12.0 is the newly updated documentation. So we have a new modern look and feel for our documentation here. So you have several different categories of information that you can find, and you also can go into these particular topics, and you'll see not only descriptions, but you'll have screenshots and links to videos as well. So we appreciate you joining us today in our webinar. And today we discuss new features in Perspectives 12.0, including load neighbors, adding labels to meta edges and how to configure them, the new PageRank Centrality analysis feature, as well as adding flags and comments to your Schema Editor elements, the ability to generate web application, including custom Java code, and our newly revamped documentation. You can see more information and how-to videos on our YouTube channel. And please don't hesitate to reach out to us on tomsawyer.com to start your free trial of Perspectives, or to schedule a call with one of our graph and data visualization experts. We can help guide you to the best solution. Thanks again for your time. We appreciate you being here, and we look forward to seeing you another day.